So I work, as I mentioned, with the City of Milwaukee's Environmental Collaboration Office. We're housed in the Department of Administration, and we focus on environmental sustainability here in the city. We're really aiming to make Milwaukee a world-class eco-city. We're aiming to protect our environment and the natural ecosystems that allow us to thrive in this beautiful city. We also help to implement the Milwaukee Climate and Equity Plan. Advanced slide, please. Alrighty, and that climate and equity plan is really aimed at reducing our community's greenhouse gas emissions 45% by 2030. And we're aiming to achieve net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. We know this isn't possible without simultaneously focusing on improving the racial and economic equity here in our city. And green job growth, workforce development is a huge part of achieving our climate and equity plan goals. Advanced slide. Here's an example of some of the programs that we implement to be able to, or aiming to achieve those climate and equity plan goals. We'll talk a little bit about at least one of them later on in the programming this evening. Next slide, please. All right, and from here, I am going to go ahead and turn it over to Brady Steigoff with Focus on Energy, who will be giving you some background on energy efficiency, and then transition into talking more about the Inflation Reduction Act Home Energy Rebate Program.
Thanks, Mia. My name is Brady Steigoff, and I am the Community Liaison Manager with Focus on Energy. So when I'm not doing presentations like this one, I'm often out in the community giving similar presentations or tabling at events. But I also work with our local governments as well as most community-based organizations in the state, so nonprofits that want to partner and share ways to save energy. I'll also just call out that Deanna, my coworker, is on the call. She's our bilingual project coordinator. And I just appreciate her advancing our slides today. What I'm going to talk about with you all today is some ways to save energy. So some of the basics, where should you start? And then how can you help lower the cost of those home energy upgrades, whether it's through our focus on energy rebates and grants, as we call them on this webinar, or the IRA federal home energy rebates that we offer. Next slide. So a little bit about who you are. If you haven't heard of us, I'm sorry, because we're celebrating our 25th anniversary this year. That's 25 years that we've been partnering with utilities in our state to be their energy efficiency and renewable energy program. So we partner with 107 out of 120 of the utilities in our state, and they fund the program, and then we return those dollars in incentives for home energy projects that lower your bills. So our mission statement is we help residents and businesses manage rising energy costs. We do that through those incentives that help lower the cost of home energy upgrades, but we also provide education and information so that you know where to start. So things like this webinar is also where those dollars go. Saving energy has a ton of benefits, and I'm going to talk about them today or tonight, but it does always promote in-state economic development because it's our local workforce, improving our local buildings. And then when you're not spending that money on energy, you're spending it having fun and at your local businesses or on your family, which helps keep dollars in our state. It also protects the environment. I'm going to have a slide in the future that shows you where energy comes from. The picture's not always great, so the best energy is the one that we never need to produce, whether it's from renewables or fossil fuels. So energy efficiency is one of the cleanest, greenest forms of energy we have, and it lowers our bills. And then I don't know if you've been reading the news, but Wisconsin's demand for electricity and natural gas continues to rise. And one of our missions is to help kind of control that growing demand. So we can't control it all, but at least for the past 2 decades, we've helped hold it flat mostly in our state. Now it's growing again for a lot of reasons, but we're hoping to help us use energy more efficiently, more wisely in our state. Next slide. We work with Wisconsin residents in a number of ways, both for homeowners and renters. And so I'm just going to give an overview for our statewide program, our Focus on Energy. It starts with a free pack. So if you haven't received one before, we offer a free energy saving pack. We have 3 different types you can choose from. And even the shipping's free as long as you prove that you're a customer of We Energies in the case of City of Milwaukee. So there are things like that can help you save energy in your bath, in your kitchen, or help you keep your family comfortable. So things like window plastic for your windows, we ship that to you for free. Some of the other ways that we recommend you save with us are heating and cooling equipment. So think your furnace, a heat pump, which can work like an air conditioner that can also heat your home, and furnaces, boilers, things like that we offer rebates for. Insulation and air sealing, which is where we recommend you start. I'll talk a little bit more about that, but I'm sure Kevin on the call will agree with me that this is one of the top ways you can save, is to insulate and air seal your home. We help builders build new homes more efficiently than the base code in Wisconsin. And then when you've saved a lot of energy, we recommend you go solar. And so we have some incentives as well for solar energy in the state. The less you use, the less panels you need, and the panels are quite expensive. So that's why we say efficiency first, then solar, as well as a lot of our homes use a lot of natural gas more than electricity, which I'll show in some future slides. So think about that when you're thinking about solar, efficiency first. Water heating also is a big energy user. We offer rebates for some water heaters, and then smart thermostats so that you can kind of set and forget, and it automatically helps you save. I wanted to mention too, our programs are not income eligible at large generally for Focus on Energy. But if you are low income, we offer two different programs and kind of ways that we can help. So at food banks, we often partner with them to have some free kits available there where people are already getting assistance. And then we'll offer higher rebates, not quite double, but close, to double the rebates for insulation and air sealing, and then higher rebates for heating and cooling. So things like a furnace and stuff like that. So that's important because the IRA rebates, on the most part, are income qualified programs, so the federal ones. And what we want is you to maximize the dollars available to you to lower the project cost for the home energy projects I'm going to talk about. Next slide, Deanna. So where does our energy come from? First of all, we import way more energy than we produce. And here's a slide from the Public Service Commission of where energy comes from. As far as I know, we do not have a coal field, natural gas, fracking, or uranium mines in Wisconsin. So most of our energy is imported. This is where our electricity came from in 2023. And a lot of people say, residents don't really matter that much for climate change, things like that. But we use about 20% or a little bit more than that of the energy in the state. So I think collectively, I'm sure the city of Milwaukee would agree, collectively, when we all take action to lower energy use, look at where our fuel is coming from, we can lower the impact on the environment, breathe healthier air, and save money at the same time. Next slide. I wanted to talk briefly about what an average utility bill is, both electric and gas, so that you kind of can understand, am I way above average and do I need to get this checked out? Or am I above average about what you'd expect? I think there's nothing wrong with being below average when it comes to your utility bills. So the average utility bill, if you're on budget bill with We Energies, is going to be about $200 a month. If you're not on budget bill, you'll have to kind of calculate what that average is. But most people just set and forget their bill. I want you to, actually look at it and think of it like a receipt. And so one of the things that I want you to look at is the breakdown of electric and natural gas to see where your energy is being spent and where your money's going. So in Wisconsin, the average electric side, it's going to be about 650 kilowatt hours of electricity per month, which is going to cost about 110 to 120. Natural gas, which is cheaper on the whole, is going to be about $70 to $80 on average. Like I said, this is average. So in the winter, that gas bill is going to be way higher. And in the summer, your electric bill, if you use air conditioning, is going to be higher as well. And so it fluctuates throughout the year. This is average all size of homes in Wisconsin. If you're like way above this, I'm going to recommend that you get it checked out. So there's a few things you can do on Focus on Energy's site. We have a free online home energy assessment that's not as good as a professional, but it quickly lets you know some opportunities to save and maybe how much you could save on different home energy projects. But generally, we're going to recommend, kind of like the doctor, it's going to be like, well, what's up? Why are your bills way above average? You're going to call someone like Kevin at Green Homeowners United or another contractor, and they're going to come to your home, do an energy assessment, and let you know what's up. I call it like a doctor's checkup for your home, and we're going to see if you're healthy or what we need to work on to get you back on track. Next slide. So what uses energy in a home? This chart is not the most user-friendly, so I apologize for that. What I want you to focus on is we got all homes at the top and then single-family homes. And then we've got some apartments, and each one uses energy a little differently. My main takeaway is that big blue bar, and the two blue colors show that almost more than half of your energy is going to heating your home and cooling your home. So I know it's fun to, or it's good to unplug things when you're not using them, but and change light bulbs to LEDs. But you can see from this chart that lighting is not actually the biggest thing. We want you to weatherize your home against the extreme conditions in Wisconsin, the hot summers, the cold, harsh winters, if you really want to have a big impact on your bill. Next is water heating. So water heating and space heating are mostly going to be natural gas used in our home. And then appliances are probably going to be electric. So look for that Energy Star logo when you need to replace them. Next slide. I think pie charts are a little easier, but this is nationally. So you see that in Wisconsin, we're colder than the national average. So space heating is probably going to be half or more of the energy used in your home. You see water heating is next, probably space cooling. So air conditioning is going to be a little less in our state, especially Milwaukee. You got a big, beautiful lake to keep you cool in the summer. But what this all leads me to is some of the top energy saving opportunities for your home are going to start with insulation and air sealing. So you can have the most efficient equipment, but if you're leaking that air out to the elements, it's not going to do you much good. So I like to think being outside in the winter, if you're sitting next to a space heater, but you don't have a coat on, still going to feel pretty cold, right? So insulation is like a big down jacket that's windproof to help keep you warm. Then we recommend high efficiency heating systems and heating equipment. Ditto on the air conditioning too for the summer, but really what we're hoping is you don't lose air to the environment, and then you can buy a smaller, more efficient equipment for your home to keep yourself comfortable. That often also is cheaper if you can get away with a smaller equipment, lowering the project cost as well. And then I recommend you look at high efficiency water heating as well, just looking at this chart. So this is general stuff. Like I said, someone like Kevin can come to your home and actually give you a more detailed report for your home, but this is just sort of general. Next slide. I love talking about the benefits, but let's just talk about saving money. It's a harsh world out there to stay affordable. Saving energy saves money in two important ways. You get immediate bill savings by using less energy, but it also protects you from energy costs rising in the future. And the analogy that I like to use here is if you've got a pickup truck versus a hybrid car, which one cares more about the price of gas at the pump, right? That bill always is going to be higher for the pickup truck than the hybrid. But then if gas prices went up to $5 a gallon, for example, the pickup truck is going to pay significantly more for energy than the hybrid is. And so a lot of what our rebates are trying to do is if your home, whether it's a pickup truck, a Honda Fit, whatever it is, we're trying to get you more efficient with our rebates at Focus on Energy. And that has tons of benefits, saving the environment, reducing the need for additional power plant generation capacity, which helps make our air quality better, supports a local workforce. It improves the value of our housing, which is important for building wealth in our communities. And it can improve air quality and health in two ways. It keeps bad air out. And then also, if you have a furnace or a heat pump, that moves air through a filter, making your air quality better. So that's a reminder, check your air filter and possibly replace it if it's been a while. Next slide. I wanted to talk about a few technologies you might not know that particularly focus on energy, as well as the IRA rebates now have incentives for. So Wisconsin may not have had an incentive for some of these things before, or a lot less. Now we've got a lot more money to put towards these projects. So heat pumps, maybe you've seen them in the news. Maybe I'm talking about them for the first time with you. They are high efficiency electric technology that can both heat and cool homes, water, or dry clothes. A good example is a refrigerator. It's a heat pump, and it pumps heat out of your refrigerator and into your home or apartment. Um, it can work in reverse as well, to heat a space and pump heat in. And so just think about your home as being the refrigerator and the heat pump moving heat in and out that way. Because it's transferring energy rather than generating it by burning something, it's a lot more efficient than furnaces and natural gas heating equipment. Or if you're familiar with baseboard heat, which is really expensive in our state, and just generally, it's that strip of electric wiring that heats up like a toaster oven for heating. Heat pumps are a lot cheaper than electric resistance, and they're more efficient than natural gas appliances. I like to think of them as very efficient air conditioning that can also do a little bit of your heating. So using that hybrid analogy of a car, just like a car, when you go on the highway, it's going to use gas to go really, really fast on the highway, but then it's going to use electric when you're in the city and going a little bit slower. Heat pumps work like that, in the sense that when it's really cold, it'll probably use your furnace as a backup. But then on milder days, like it's going to warm up this weekend and next week, it might be actually more efficient and cheaper to use electricity to heat your home because a heat pump is so efficient. So that you get the best of both worlds, cheap natural gas prices and very efficient clean energy from our increasingly clean electric grid. So they can be connected in a hybrid situation with your gas furnace. Often that might mean you need a new furnace to work with it, for the greatest cost savings, environmental benefit, and heating reliability. They can also heat water, and by the same technology, or dry your clothes by pulling or concentrating heat from your basement and putting it to your clothes to dry them. The added benefit is heat pump water heaters also reduce basement humidity. And dehumidifiers use a pretty significant amount of energy, so now you don't need that humidifier as much in the summer. Next slide. This just shows a little bit about how they work, basically pumping heat into your home in the winter, or pumping it out and giving you cool air in the summer. So I'm not going to get really into the physics of this. You can watch the recording to kind of view this diagram, or view it on our website as well. Just for time, I'm gonna advance. There's several different types that can work best with your home. So if you might have a boiler, maybe you don't have air conditioning or central air, ductless mini splits are really efficient. There's this kind of head unit that you see in the picture. It can provide heat just to a certain area of your home, or cooling to a certain area of your home, or provide you air conditioning for the first time if you don't have ductwork. If you do, like I said, heat pumps can work with a furnace, and so they'll use the fan of your furnace to just move the air or heat throughout your home, as well as cool your home. I don't, some people will say dual fuel. I like the term hybrid, but that just means that they work with your furnace as backup. And then there are cold climate heat pumps that can work all the way to minus 20 degrees to still provide heat to your home. In We Energies and in Milwaukee, because natural gas is so cheap, I recommend going with the hybrid setup so that you get, on the really coldest days when the efficiency of the heat pump drops, trying to keep your home warm, you can use cheaper natural gas, but then you're also saving carbon on the more mild days, and you're using electricity and saving money by using that heat pump when it's a little bit milder out. So think like spring and fall, or random February warm-ups that seem to be a lot more common. Next slide. Induction, what's your function? So induction ranges are also something that through the federal rebates, we now offer a rebate for. And I want to just dispel this myth. They are not electric stoves. They actually work by making a magnetic wave that heats up the pot directly, rather than heating up a plate that then heats up a pot. So they are the most efficient cooking available to us. Inductions are 90% efficient. Electric ranges are about 74, and gas surprises a lot of people, but it's only 40% efficient. So it's both the slowest way to boil water. A lot of this is because that flame is just mostly going outside around the pot. Only a fraction of it actually goes into what you're heating. Also, while it does that, there is some particulate matter. It's the only gas appliance not required by law to vent outside to the air. So it does, increase indoor air pollution. as well as pretty inefficient. And that's why in the summer, you get really, really hot when you're cooking with a gas stove. So some of the benefits of induction are faster cooking. I bought a $70 hot plate from IKEA. I am amazed. I've had to completely change how I cook. So I chop everything first because it's so fast at cooking. It's really easy to clean. A few spritz of my all-purpose cleaner and wipe it down and it's clean. Safer, so if you got kiddos or just generally less of a risk of a burn because the plate itself actually is not hot. Only the pot is getting hot. So when you remove that pot, it's going to be a little bit warm from a really hot pot being on it, but in a few seconds or a minute, it'll be cool to the touch, which is pretty amazing. It also reduces indoor air pollution since you're not combusting something in your home and less waste heat. This is something that I just love this summer, is being able to cook and not feel hot at all. So I didn't feel like my air conditioner needed to kick on just because I was making dinner as much. The only thing I'll mention is if you have a pacemaker or someone that you love comes to your home very often, the magnetic waves will interfere with their pacemaker. So I think they need to be at least, 6 feet away, or it might not be a good fit for you if you have a pacemaker. Next slide.
Brady, just giving you heads up about 10 minutes,
Ooh, am I
10
running a
or
little long?
15. Yeah.
Awesome. This is just our ideal energy efficiency journey. I will kind of skip it, I think, for time, but the free space is start with your free pack. And you'll see that insulation and air sealing, after the free and easy things that you can do in your home, kind of DIY, is the top thing that we recommend as an energy assessment, and then insulating and air sealing. All right, next slide. You can just skip this one for time. Next slide, please, Deanna. So Wisconsin was awarded $150 million for these federal rebates that I'm sure is one of the main reasons you wanted to join this call. There's two programs. One focuses on efficiency and one really focuses on high efficiency electric appliances that I was just talking about. So really that goal of the second program is to get you off fossil fuels and transition you to high efficiency electric. Next slide. This is just a little bit of a comparison. I think it's less helpful than what I'll just say is Homes is a better program if you're thinking about insulation, since that's one of the best ways that you can save, and it's a little bit more holistic of a program. It's looking at your home as a system and checking to see if you can save 20% or more through a variety of projects. So it's technology neutral. You can do any combination to hit 20% energy savings, and an energy assessment is what will let you know by a professional like Green Homeowners United. Here program is a little bit more like traditional focus on energy, where you've got one thing that you're replacing with another, and you get a rebate for it as long as it saves energy and qualifies. So think about homes if you need insulation. Otherwise, here and focus on energy are probably the better program for you. Next slide. So let's talk a little bit about homes. We were the first state in the country to launch this program. Basically the rebate amounts are going to be based on your income. So the lower income you are, the more money we can offer you. And then it's based on how much you can save. So the more you can save, the more money you get to pay for more projects that probably get you that savings. Next slide. It's open to all residents, but we offer more if you income qualify. And the only thing that's not eligible is new construction projects. Next slide. Like I said, you start with an energy assessment, you start by income qualifying. We do offer, if you're low income, a $500 instant rebate to pay for that contractor to come out to your house and do that professional energy assessment. Generally, that $500 covers the cost. If not, I just want to say that it's still super worth it to get the energy assessment because it unlocks thousands of dollars more from Focus on Energy, as well as these rebate programs to help you pay for the insulation. So it's going to more than pay for itself. What that energy assessment does is they go through your home, they see some, they collect some data about your home, and then they enter that into a model that predicts how much energy you can save. So you're eligible as long as you can get 20% energy savings from that energy assessment. And we give higher rebate amounts if you can save 35% or more. Next slide. This is a little bit about the process. So you income qualify first. Like I said, that lets you know how much money is available to you. You work with a registered contractor like Green Homeowners United. They'll do an energy assessment. Then they'll build what projects you need to do to get. They'll let you know if you're eligible for this program or refer you probably to the HERE program or focus rebates. Otherwise, they'll build a project scope for you. What do you need to do to accomplish 20% energy savings or 35%? They will help get the project done, and then you get a final invoice with the final remaining cost, is generally how this program works. Um, I'll walk you through this chart. It's kind of left to right with vertically. So if you're low income, and just to let you know, a household of two in Milwaukee, if you're below about 71,000, you're considered low income to the federal government. A household of four is about 88,000, just as ballpark numbers. On our website, we have a Get Started tool that can quickly see if you qualify or are eligible for these. Sorry, if you're eligible and want to go forward with income qualification. And then what we can offer you is you can see if you're low income, 100% of the project costs up to $5,000. If you can save 20%, if you can save 35% or more, we'll double that to $10,000, 100% of the project's cost. That's not even talking about the focus on energy rebates, right, that you can stack with these. If you're moderate income, we offer just about half as much and even less if you're high income. Next slide. Now I'm going to talk about the electrification program a little bit. Generally, this works, it's an instant discount that the contractors that install equipment will provide on your invoice for home energy upgrades. You must be low or moderate income to be eligible. And you can either go through a contractor or you can purchase your equipment yourself at one of our retail locations that we partner with. In that case, it's not going to be necessarily an instant discount. There's two ways to participate in that. You can get a coupon through our website, or you purchase your equipment and you retroactively go in after you've income qualified as the first step, and then you redeem that rebate by proving to us you replaced a natural gas appliance with something that you installed. So we'll need pictures to verify that. A lot of our requirements are on our website, so I recommend you review that first. Next slide. I think this you might need to click, Deanna. I think this has some fancy animations that I now regret. The participation is very similar, income qualify, and just to let you know, when you income qualify with this program, you can participate in either or both homes and HERE. So income qualify first, advance. Oh, sorry, Deanna, I think you're gonna have to click a few times. You'll select a registered contractor with us, sort of similar to the homes program, or you can participate at a retailer. Then you install the equipment, and depending on which path is how you'll kind of get that payment. So if you work with a contractor, it'll be straight subtraction on your invoice. Otherwise, you'll have to go to our website and redeem it. Next slide. All residents that are moderate or low income can participate in this program, and new construction is also eligible for this program. Next slide. Oh boy, Deanna, sorry, you're gonna have to click a few times. So there, just to let you know what appliances are eligible for this program, heat pumps for space heating, since they run on electricity, as long as they provide 51% of your heating. You can get quite a bit of rebates for that. I'll show a chart in a moment. Water heaters, clothes dryers, so the technologies I covered earlier, the stove tops. But I also wanted to say there's some significant money for a panel upgrade for your electric panel, as well as wiring. So most homes in Milwaukee are old. They were only designed for electric lights. And so now that you want to start heating your food, your space, your water, things like that, or if you ever wanted solar in the future or an electric vehicle, your home is going to need to handle more electricity than it was probably built for. And then you might need to run a wire, for example, to your kitchen so that you can have an electric stove. So we have some money to cover that. I call that pre-electrification dollars to help lower that cost. And then in the HERE program, there's also some rebates for insulation, air sealing, and ventilation. So if you're not eligible for the homes program, you might be able to get a rebate through this program and through Focus on Energy as well. Next slide. And Mia, I know I'm really, really close. In most cases, we're replacing a non-electric appliance. It's not your first time buying that appliance in an electric version, or it's a new construction. So um, an example of that is if you already have an electric stove, you're not going to be eligible for the induction. Next slide. All right, here rebates. Everybody wants to know the money. So if you're low income, 100% of project costs up to $14,000 for electrical, high efficiency electric equipment. If you're moderate income, you can still get up to 14,000. It's just going to be half the project cost. So it's kind of like a formula for how much you'll get. And then there are some caps based on the technology that you installed for this program. So heat pump water heaters, you'll see it's up to 1,750. Heat pumps for space heating and cooling your home, up to 8,000. Panel upgrades, 4,000, 2,500 for the wiring. And then you'll see some of the appliances as well are more like 840. And you can get 1,600 up to for the installation and air sealing. So again, these can be added on to focus on energy rebates as well. Next slide. I think I'll skip this, but basically just like I said, you can stack them with the focus on energy rebates to maximize the dollars that you can get to lower these project costs. Next slide. The only thing I'll say is if you can participate in the Weatherization Assistance Program, then you probably won't be eligible for homes because they've already weatherized your home, but you could participate in the HERE electrification program. Next slide. Just wanted to say we have a network of contractors, and Milwaukee has the most diverse, the biggest and best availability of contractors. So check out our website. We can help you find contractors as well. Or Kevin is a great one. And I'm glad he's here to speak on his side of things. But just want to let you know they're separate from Focus on Energy Trade Allies. What I'll say is most IRA contractors can help you get a focus rebate. We're seeing really high crossover in the participation. And if you know of a contractor that's not on our list, we do have some resources and handholding to help them become part of the program. So can't have enough contractors in our state. That's a really healthy part of our clean energy workforce. Next slide. And if there's any questions, I'm going to stick around and try to answer them in the chat. And it's my honor to turn it over to Kevin Kane, which is one of our top IRA contractors in the state.
Thank you, Brady. That was awesome. I love being able to do these sort of presentations, and Brady and I get to cross paths not infrequently. Hi, everyone. My name is Kevin Kane. I'm the chief economist at Green Homeowners United. We're a Milwaukee County-based energy efficiency firm. We're proud to be, to our knowledge, according to the experts that we've talked to, the contractor that has done more to enroll people in the IRA homes program than anybody in the country. And so that means Milwaukee has been the site of more people enrolling in this program than pretty much anybody in the country, which is cool. So once again, Milwaukee gets to lead the way. I'm pretty darn proud to be here. So let's go on to the next slide, please. What we at Green Homeowners United want to try to help people take advantage of is the Inflation Reduction Act, which we've already talked a little bit about. It's the largest investment our country has ever made in taking on climate change. For homeowners, there are two big programs. There are the homes rebate program that we already kind of talked about. We're going to focus on this one because this is the one where you have to work with contractors, and not every contractor knows how to do this. And so we're going to spend a lot of time talking about this because you may want to be able to work with some contractors, but not everyone knows how to best do this, and we want to guide you through it because it's hard to know exactly what saves 20% or more on your household energy use. The next button, please. The last one is the home electrification program. Brady already talked about that, so I won't spend as much time on that today. But those are, again, you want something, there's a flat dollar amount for that thing depending on your income. Next, please. Okay, so we're going to talk a bit more about the homes rebate, and there is a small typo in here that I got to highlight. But first thing I'm going to say is, look to the chart here, you're going to see a bunch of income levels. Please look at the Milwaukee and Waukesha County. We list La Crosse too, because Green Homeowners United works in La Crosse City as well. Look to the number of people in your household and try to determine, are you below the low income limit, or are you below or above the middle income limit? Because that is going to matter. It's based on last year's tax return. But knowing if you're, quote, low income, middle income, or high income is really going to change the amount of rebates for you. Can you please click forward to get some of the bullet points, please? All right. So this does require an energy assessment, and it can unlock between $1,500 and $10,000 in rebates for home energy upgrades, even more for duplexes. If you are in that middle income category, if you get a 20% reduction on your household energy use, which we would find from that energy assessment, you would get $2,000 off, or twice that amount with a 35% energy reduction. If someone, here's the typo, earns less than the middle income limit, excuse me, the low income limit, if you less than a low income, $62,000 for one person, that amount is now $5,000 for improvements that reduce by 20%, or $10,000 for those that are above 35%. 10,000 is a much higher bar, 35%, excuse me. I don't hit this with a lot of homes. It's you have to do a lot. It's not one thing usually in the home that can be fixed. So we're going to walk you through what that is. Next button. All right, again, if someone earns, that's all right. If someone earns less than more than the middle income level, that amount is then $1,500 to $3,000, depending on how much they reduce. The short version is every single house is eligible for something. Some people are eligible for more. And this again is on top of the other rebates that we talked about for focus on energy. All right, next, please. Okay, what is an energy assessment? Let's hit it, there we go, twice. So energy assessments look at your windows, insulation, cooling systems, heating systems, more. We look for health and safety concerns. And we create a report that shows where the biggest energy saving impacts are going to be in the home. That little red box you see there is what's known as a blower door. We generally use it to blow all the air out of your house to help identify how leaky, how drafty your house is. Because our houses are not submarines, every time air blows out, air must come in. And so it's kind of fun. You can put it in the door and it's kind of noisy, and you can walk around your house and you can feel the air coming in around attic entrance and windows and basement. And you don't have to guess how leaky a house is. We can show you. You can quantify it. And with it, these energy assessments have to do something called a BPI 2400 energy model that shows how to save 20% or more on your energy use to access these rebates. And I'm going to say this as a contractor. This keeps us honest. This requires that I not just guess how to save energy on your home. I have to show it based on your last 12 months of gas and electric bills from Weatherization. I can't just assume I know how much insulation is behind your wall. It's actually based on your performance. It's what does your house truly need? And so you can't have some contractor coming in and trying to sell you something that they think works, but isn't actually based on what your house needs. And so that's the kind of nice thing about these energy assessments. It's unique to your house, but at the same time, it is kind of custom to what will work and keeps us honest. Next, please. Now, the first things first, we have to start with an energy assessment. I apologize in advance for this big chart, but I wanted to take a home from Milwaukee, from the Washington Park neighborhood, and actually look at what achieved 35% household energy savings in that house. What you're seeing here is a list of all the various things that we looked at. Did we include it in the model? Yes, it's highlighted. The base is what the house ranked at today. The improved is what we ran a scenario in our energy model to improve it to. Percent energy savings and a sense of what would save. This home hit 35% energy savings by insulating the attic, sealing air leaks to make the house 25% less drafty, as well as insulating the basement walls. This house was one of those classic houses in Washington Park that stuck out way above ground. You could really see the basement and the windows coming out of it. Their basement had no insulation. Their walls had some, their attic had some, and it turned out that the basement was the biggest source of energy savings by quite a margin. If you ever been in, if you go in your basement right now, chances are it's pretty darn cold. And so that's why we focus on it. Concrete's a great building material, but a terrible insulator. Now, you'll notice that we're also going to look at doors. We're going to look at windows. We're going to look at heating systems. Some things that might jump out at you is heat pumps, which Brady talked about. You may find yourself actually saving energy, but not saving money. Why? Well, because Weatherization and other utilities often charge us more for electric than they do for natural gas. So while it's nice to move away from natural gas and important, I have a heat pump myself, you may not necessarily save money with one. That's kind of an important distinction. These are really good for the environment. They pair well with solar. They help get you off natural gas. They don't necessarily save you money. But if you focus on the things that do, just like Brady said with insulation and air sealing, this house got $12,000 plus in instant funds, which we're going to call a grant, but it is not always such. As you may have seen from the list of rebates, it's a specific dollar amount. It doesn't necessarily mean the project is going to only cost that much. In this particular case, it did for this client, but if your electric panel costs $5,000, but you only get a $4,000 rebate, it can be considered a grant, but there's some out of pocket. So this is where working with certain contractors may make more sense. Those that are sort of trying to prepare and help people to not have to pay a lot more out of pocket. Next, please. So please repeat after me and click twice more, please. There are no grants for Windows. I love you all. I love talking to you all. I hate having to explain all the time that there are no grants for Windows. I have been asked this almost every single day to the point where I almost put it on my voicemail. I have never gotten the rebates to cover the cost of window replacements throughout a single family home or duplex. It is not possible through this program. It is not designed generally to do so, but I get asked this all the time. I actually once put this slide up at an event in Sherman Park, and the very first person who walked over to me asked me if there were any grants for Windows. It drives me a little batty. I wish I could. We help install Windows, but we also know that Windows are not the number one thing that saves energy. And so as such, start with programs like Homes Rebate to do the installation, and then use other programs like the City of Milwaukee has an energy financing program that can help finance the cost of energy rated windows. But again, I'm sorry, there are no grants for Windows. Next, please. Now, I'll just give an example. A family of 4 who earns $77,000 gets an energy assessment of the home. The assessor shows that insulation in the attic and air sealing the home would reduce the utility use by over 20%. They could get these improvements at often effectively no cost if the contractor was only charging around the same as the rebates. If they charge more, the difference is out of pocket. It may also qualify for electrical service upgrades for little cost. The heat pump that was covered. We'll skip through. Let's move on to the next one because Brady talked about this quite well. So I want to give you a sense, having done hundreds of energy assessments, and we're actually going to release a report in the very near future, having reviewed hundreds of energy assessments, what actually works. Here are the things that we have found you can likely get at very low cost and sometimes no cost after the instant rebates from the Homes Rebate. Basement and attic insulation, wall insulation, sometimes called drill and fill or dense packing, if the walls are effectively empty. The last 3 are from that HERE rebate, electrical panel upgrade to 200 amp. If you are concerned about the safety of your current one, we helped a lot of people after the flooding place their electrical panels. Ventilation fan, if it is deemed necessary because your house might be too stuffy and it is not doing a good enough job getting new air in, these ventilation fans can be part of it. And then a heat pump air conditioner. They go by different names. I like to call them heat pump air conditioners because it gives people a sense of where they are. They're outside. They connect to your furnace like an air conditioner. But some people call them dual fuel heat pumps, hybrid heat pumps, all that sort of thing. The things the rebates cannot generally help you get, and I have tried many, many times to get these. When I say they can't get them, what I mean is you can include them in your model, but the cost of these improvements are pretty much always going to be more than the rebates will get you, meaning you'll generally have to pay them out of pocket. So furnace, boiler, air conditioner, they can be included in your calculation of 20%. They will never hit 20% alone. Next. Gas water heater, moving on, windows and doors. I believe there's another one in there. Lighting or general electrical. There might be good reasons to do this. Solar panels is another one that will come up. The things these rebates generally cannot help you with. I wish they could, because this comes up a lot, but they're not designed as such. They're very, very specific improvements. So I love you, but please do not call me about this. Next, please. So how to get an assessment. If you can click twice, please. Again, if you are below this income limit, anywhere in the city, we can help do a no-cost visit to your home to see if your home would benefit from effectively no-cost work, or if it is likely that you're going to have to pay a difference. Generally, the energy assessments, if you are above this limit, can cost about $625 and are eligible. Excuse me, this is old. They used to. This tax credit actually just went away. I apologize. But this rebate or this assessment can often be comped on the work itself if you end up doing projects as well. I'm going to quickly mention too that please help us by gathering 12 months of gas and electric bills from We Energies. You can call We Energies, you can log in online, you can collect your bills. They are required to give it to us if you get proof of income, but especially with duplexes, I have a problem with this because I need usually to have both sets of bills for both units. And I may only get them from We Energies from one of them. And then if I can't make the model work because I don't have full 12 months of bills, then I don't get paid and you don't get an assessment. So please help me help you. We cannot generally get you the homes rebate if you have not lived there 12 months. Can't get you an energy assessment actually if you have not lived there 12 months. But we might be able to help with that other rebate, and there's plenty of funds remaining. So please, you can wait till you hit the 12 months and we can still help you then. Next one, please. So we could use your help actually. I'm going to ask you to click twice more. If you know somebody who is 60 plus or has a disability or is a veteran and they earn less than this amount, there's a good chance that we can help them. We actually have a special unrelated grant program that can help people access basement insulation. This is an example of basement upper half wall insulation. This is completely unrelated to the Inflation Reduction Act, but I need your help with it. So if you can click once more, please. If you know somebody who is 60 plus, disabled or veteran, has lived there 5 or more years and earns less than this amount, please call this number or text this number and mention basement grant or PSC basement grant. We can help them with this and often likely help them with IRA funds too. So I have about 35 slots remaining in this grant. I have to find it. First come, first serve. Please contact us. So that's my ask of all of you. Next, please. All right, thank you so very much. My contact info is there. I encourage you to use the number in the top left, but I'll stick around and ask questions too. Questions?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kevin. Deanna, if you could advance to the next slide, we're going to shift gears a tiny bit to talk more broadly about some housing improvement resources and additional stackable funding opportunities. And I'm going to turn things over to Kat Claus, who will explain more.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Kat Claus, and I am with Citizen Action of Wisconsin. We are a statewide nonprofit, but our headquarters are here in Milwaukee, and we have been getting the word out about these IRA grants and resources for a little bit over a year now. And I'm here to talk to you today about other things we can stack along with them, because $10,000 for free is great, but some of our homes need a little bit more love. A little about Citizen Action. We've been around for about 40 years. We work in healthcare, climate justice, economic justice, housing justice, energy burden, all kinds of different areas. So if you care about any of that, I will put my contact information in the chat and I'd love to connect with you. Next slide, please. All right. So as this amazing webinar has told you, the IRA helps. It is amazing. I have met a number of homeowners who've gotten $10,000 completely for free. Many of them see a $50 reduction or even a $100 reduction in their energy bills, which I like to think about all the other things you could spend that extra $100 a month on, not to mention making your house more safe and more comfortable. But outside of what the IRA covers, many homeowners still need help with things like fixing roofs is a big one, wiring, plumbing, safety issues, other projects that might not qualify. And I have a list of resources that I'm going to share with you that are some of the top resources I share with homeowners. And if you're interested in one of these, we have a hotline that I'll talk about a little bit later where you can call or a form you can fill out so I can help direct you to other resources as well as connect you to contractors for the IRA work. So amazing contractors like Kevin or others if you're interested in getting these work done. All right, next slide, please. All right, so the first one that I think we send people to is the Department of Neighborhood Services Compliance Loan Program, which is a crazy word, basically provides zero interest deferred payment loans to fix building code violations. So a building code violation means something really bad has gone wrong, and those violations are usually safety violations. And so it's specific for homeowners who receive a code violation notice or people who need repairs to come into compliance. And this is run by the city of Milwaukee. And I have the website and phone number linked there. Next slide. Strong Homes Loan Program. So there are partially forgivable loans of up to $25,000 for emergency and essential repairs, whether that's health or safety. These requires to be owner occupied and are small units, so 1 to 4 unit, and repairs must be essential. Again, another city loan program. We are so lucky in the city of Milwaukee that the city of Milwaukee prioritizes safe, affordable housing. Again, next slide. Lead hazard reduction program. Oftentimes, when you're already doing work in your home, you might as well do other things that improve the health and safety. It's run by the city of Milwaukee again, and the goal is a program to make our homes lead safe. So that includes window replacement, other approved work, paint, other things like that. And it can fund up to $40,000 per unit. It's best for our older homes who likely have a lot of lead and families concerned about lead exposure, especially those with children. Next slide, please. Revitalize Milwaukee. This is another amazing resource. It provides critical home repairs to help people remain safely in their homes. So that could be a lot of things, especially for our homeowners who are struggling to afford those repairs. They have a lot of different programs, so their guidelines vary, but they often prioritize our seniors, veterans, people with disabilities, and our low-income community. Again, next slide. This is another amazing resource that I don't think a lot of people know about. The Milwaukee Jewish Free Loan Association offers interest-free home improvement loans, and this is open to all faiths and all people. So a lot of times if you need to get a loan, there's a lot of interest attached, and then you're paying a lot extra out of pocket, which is not fun. So this is a loan where, again, they give it to you completely for free, so you don't have to pay back additional money on top of it. They're really great at working with homeowners who might not have a bank account, might be struggling a little bit with credit, those kinds of things like that. And they're great at filling the holes for projects not covered by grants. So as Kevin said, a lot of these grants we're talking about today don't include windows, but some people may need windows. They're not a first stop for the record in reducing your energy usage, but windows break, bad things happen. This could be an example of if you can't find something done in your house that you want to get done, a great option for our homeowners. And this is their contact information there. So I have their phone number and their website. Next slide. City of Milwaukee also offers their own financing. It is low interest financing, so it is better than you would see at most banks and credit unions. It's for energy efficiency improvements, which I think about as anything that lowers your energy bill and makes your home a little bit cozy and less drafty. So it's, again, homeowners pursuing their energy efficiency upgrades, and it's, again, when grants don't fully cover their cost. It's loan based, and they have a few different categories of different upgrades that you have to do for your home that are eligible. So I put the website there. And next slide. I think I have 2 more. Community advocates. Community advocates is a great resource if you need what's called energy assistance. So if you are struggling to keep your power on, to keep your heat on, they also have housing stabilization resources for some of our folks who maybe your house has become unsafe, maybe you're losing your place to live and you're looking for something else, and referrals. So they refer out to other programs, and they also have help people navigate repair and energy programs. So if you need to sign up for that kind of assistance, or maybe you know a neighbor who needs to, I think it's lovely if they call community advocates. They really help our low-income households, people needing help with booking appointments or applying for some of this funding, and energy bill relief and weatherization entry. And I have their contact information there, as well as they have different phone numbers with direct lines that you can call. Next slide. Wisconsin Home Energy Plus. It's run by the Wisconsin Department of Administration. It is the statewide entry port for energy assistance and weatherization. So if you yourself, or if you know somebody who, again, is struggling to afford your energy bills, they can apply to have those lowered with matching dollars. So if you have high energy bills, you're an income qualified household, Anybody can call that number. This is a statewide number. So I think it's so important, especially as we're coming up on April 15th. For those who don't know, April 15th is when a utility shutoff moratorium ends. That means folks who might be behind on their energy bills, if they aren't on a program or on a repayment plan, and they don't catch up by April 15th, their electricity could be shut off, their heat could be shut off. And so every year in Wisconsin, there's somewhere between 90,000 to 100,000 people who get their utilities shut off. And we can help prevent some of this because many of these folks would qualify for things like the energy assistance. Next slide. Housing Help Milwaukee. This is an amazing resource that I send people to. It is one place to find a lot of these resources that I'm talking to you about. It's home repair grants, loans, neighborhood programs, energy upgrade resources by repair type and location, all of those things. If you were asking where do I start, this is the website for you. You can use the filters to find programs by like, I want to remove lead in my home. I need roof repair, whatever it is. And you can also search by neighborhood because there are some specific grants just for neighborhoods. And I have the website there. Next slide again, Mia. All right, now we are going to turn it over to Max, who I saw that joined, and he's going to talk a little bit about his experience as he's one of these folks who have gotten the IRA home upgrades. So he got these grants that Kevin and Brady were talking about and how great they've been for him as a homeowner. And I think, Max, if you want to come out mute, we have a specific slide for you, which is next.
All right.
I think one more slide.
Well,
Take it
like
away,
it
Max.
says, well, like I said on the slide, all I really had to do was call up Green Homeowners. They were the contractor I went with, and all I really had to do was call them up, provide proof of income, some energy bills, pretty standard stuff. Like if you were maybe applying for an apartment or something, and a couple more calls later, I had my basement insulated. I had my electrical service upgraded from 100 amps to 200 amps, giving me a lot of room for future electrification of my appliances, as well as a heat pump. So now I even have air conditioning, and I never thought I would have gotten that in within a couple of years of getting my house. So these grants have really helped me out a lot.
Yeah, thank you, Max. Could you talk a little bit about energy savings, right? This saves you money every month, right? Completely for free. Oh, you might be muted. Oh, just kidding.
Yeah, they said the host can't. You have to have the
Oh,
host unmuted.
no,
But
that's okay. Yeah.
so yeah, I am saving a bit of money. I think on my first bill, I saved like maybe like $15 or $20 or something like that. I don't have the exact number in my head, but I saved a little bit of money, enough to get myself something, like a sandwich or something. And it's kind of cool because it might be a sandwich a month, but after a year, that's either 12 sandwiches or an actual dinner.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, thank you for sharing that input. And you just called and gave them documents and there was no upfront cost, right? So they just came in and did the work.
Well, now more than ever, it's important to reduce strain on the grid too, with all these data centers they want to build. So that's another pretty big benefit of them.
Yeah. And I don't know about everybody, how everybody else feels. I feel like bills go up every year. So anything I can do to not have bills go
Oh,
up.
for sure.
Well, thank you so very much for sharing your homeowner's perspective as somebody who got these grants.
Yeah, no problem.
Right. I think we have one more slide. I don't remember if this slide is my slide. Yep. Then we're on to our question and answer.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody so much for your presentations. Max, thank you for sharing more about your experience. At this time, we can start taking questions, and I didn't get a ton in the chat. So if you have been sitting on questions, now is a great time for you to add them to the chat, and our presenters will be able to answer them. And I am going to read off the couple that we did get, and hope to see more because we had a lot of good information there. Of course, if it was explained so well that you don't have any questions, and we've done our jobs very, very well tonight, so that's not a bad thing either. Um, So just to start things off question-wise, I think, Brady, this question is specifically about the slide that you shared talking about the average utility rate cost or utility bill costs in the Midwest. And it was what average size home is that $400 bill, utility bill average based on?
Yeah, so it's actually $200 is the average. And since it's an average, it's all types of homes. So large, small, that's just the average in the state.
Awesome. And I think that might have been a question from Mike. So if you need more clarification than that, let us know. Um, all right. And for choosing the next question. So for choosing a contractor, they have to be on the Focus on Energy list to use the rebates. Is that correct?
Yeah, so for the Inflation Reduction Act, it'll be your IRA registered contractor, and on our website, we help you find that. And like I said, we're seeing at least more than 70% is what we just heard. Of people who participate in IRA are also getting a Focus on Energy rebate. So most contractors participate in both programs if they participate in IRA. It may not be the other way around. So if it's just a Focus on Energy Trade Ally and you're looking at that map, not all of them have chosen to participate in the federal program. My advice is just when you call a contractor, make sure you ask before you sign anything to know if you're going to be eligible.
Awesome. Thank you, Brady. Alrighty. The third question I have on here. So this one is a little specific, I think, to this person's individual situation, but they said that the income part of the application is confusing. They just moved to Milwaukee in April of last year and have had different work experience, so that puts them in a weird income spot around or about how they would currently qualify. Do you have any advice for how they may be able to tackle that?
Any of us can take this, I think, but I'll just say, you could call any one of us and we would try to help, but also on our website, we have a 1-800 number and it may be a digital operator, I'm not sure, but I know we definitely have live people to support. So we can help you out there. And Kat, I saw you went off mute too.
Yeah. Yeah, just to mention that if you just moved your house last April, we do need the 12 months of Weatherization bills, which sometimes if you know the previous tenant or previous owner, they're happy to log in and get you that. Or you might have to wait 2 more months until April until you have a full year of Weatherization bills for documentation. So the contractor, like Kevin and his team, can do that assessment and show the 20% energy savings that is required for the IRA grants.
Awesome. All right. And I think, Brady, you might have touched on this in the chat, but for the benefit of the group, how about draft sealers under the door? Are those included in the rebate, in the IRA home energy rebates?
Kevin, I don't know if you model those, but my recommendation is in our free energy packs, you can get weather stripping. And so since that's free, no cost and easy to install, I'd recommend just ordering a free pack that includes that.
I'll just quickly add, usually, so while I agree that air sealing is usually one of the really important things to do in the house, there's a little bit of a challenge with the homes rebate in that you as the customer don't always know what I'm allowed to model. And for example, I'm not allowed to model new lighting, light bulbs, things like that. And there are certain photos that I am required to take as part of the program. If that thing is not one of the photos I'm allowed to upload, then I can't get paid for doing that. So, for example, when it comes to air sealing the house, again, you as the customer won't know this, but us as the people who do this will, because we have a list of what's allowed. I'm only allowed to air seal certain parts of the house as far as taking photos. I might still do the door, but there's no way for me to just do doors or just seal around windows. I have to air seal around your attic, your basement, maybe in your walls by dense packing your walls, things like that. If someone is going to be brought on to do this work, they can't just be aid through IRA funds to just seal around windows and doors. Why? Because it's not one of the things that we're allowed to upload. So if we're going to come in and holistically do the house, yeah, we can do your door, but I can't just do your door.
Really helpful clarifications, Kevin. Thank you. All right, got a couple more questions here.
Yeah, some of the more recent ones look good that we should address, like from 639 on.
Oh yes, I've been grabbing all of them, don't worry. And we have lots of time, so we can take our time with answering. The next question I had is, I need basement insulation, but I also need the mold and waterproofing. Is this something I can get help with?
Not through IRA. Generally, they can't go for non-energy saving things with the exception of certain electrical safety topics. There actually is a program that the Milwaukee Eco Office can sometimes help with for healthy home improvements if doing so would make you able to insulate or other energy saving improvements. So it is not very widely out because it's kind of new, but we might be able to help with things like that. But it would really have to be like a barrier to otherwise doing it. So for example, after the flooding, there was a lot of half-finished basements that were damaged and moldy. And so I want to insulate their basement, but it's in the way. So there might be other funds, like some of those that Kat mentioned or the one that I just mentioned, that you can have that removed or address some mold issues, or there might be vermiculite asbestos insulation in your attic. It has to be removed. That could reduce those health and safety issues that prevent you from otherwise doing insulation or other energy saving improvements. But there's also other ways to insulate that maybe you don't have to worry as much about moisture. I'm happy to talk more about it. The old way of doing drywall and fiberglass, don't do that. That will lead to mold.
Awesome. Thank you so much for answering that. All right. Next question. How, I think we talked about this earlier, but I don't think it ever hurts to repeat answers. How long do you have to be in your home for you to be eligible for the grant? And maybe for this question, it might be helpful to speak to availability of some of the other funding and whether that also um, requires you to have been in your home longer term.
Yeah, I guess I can take this one. As long as you can have, like I said, the 12 months of We Energies bills, that's what we care about. Some of the grants have different availability. Some require you've been in your home for 5 years, some for 1 year, some they don't care. You're in a home and we want to improve it. So that is a case by case basis. And if anybody has any questions about that specifically, they can fill out that jot form that I put in the chat and I will reach out and call and talk to them about the specific grant or program they're looking for.
Awesome. Thanks, Kat. Okay. So
Would you
this
mind if I
is,
riff off
oh,
that just for a second and kind of a
yeah.
related topic? And that is, if you sign up for this program, how quickly can you get it? I don't really think
Yes.
we've spent as much time talking about that. I do want to kind of stress this is not going to be instant. If your water heater goes out tonight, I'm not going to be able to put a new one in tomorrow. And so that's just something that we need you to be aware of. If you submit your proof of income, it might take a week before the state approves it. Once you get your proof of income, you may not be able to schedule an energy assessor tomorrow. We have so many people asking for energy assessments that we're actually a little bit behind in being able to present the results to people. So you might get your energy assessment. It might take a little bit longer for us to present to you. But when you settle on a project, we have generally found that first off, you have to submit it for pre-approval. We've generally found that project will take about 3 to 7 weeks on average, we found, to get pre-approved. And so, again, please plan on it being something that you will get, in many cases, heavily subsidized. I hate being the bad guy here with all the bad info, but please don't expect it to be tomorrow. So if you want to do it while there's still snow on the ground, you should start tomorrow. Let's plan on it being perhaps more closer to March before the work gets done.
I'm glad you brought that up, Kevin. We're working, I mean, like I said, we were the first state and we've just been launching a bunch of things and now we're working really on improving all parts of this program. So I think our approval speed is increasing. But I agree with you. My slogan is we're not an emergency program. You want to plan ahead, think about what might fail, what's old in your home, and what might go kaput. And then you want to know what you'll replace that with that's higher efficiency. And we usually say, I think Kevin's great, but if it's like a furnace or something like that, I say get 3 or more contractor bids. Like they have different inventory of different equipment, and you'll get different prices, and you'll trust some more than you'll trust others, and go with whatever kind of you feel like fits your budget, your values. And then again, something like Kevin, you have good credibility and belief that they will help you get the credits and the focus on energy rebates. So not an emergency program, unfortunately.
Mm, And there are, if you do qualify for energy assistance, you may be eligible for some emergency repair services. So I do just want to call that out as at least one resource. Not universally available, but it is if you qualify for energy assistance. So that Home Energy Plus program that Kat mentioned earlier is what you would be looking to take advantage of those services. Excellent. All right. So this is another kind of case specific, but I think a helpful question. So if you're a church property and assuming this may be a single family church property that houses a pastor with his family, would that qualify?
I can take this one. So Faith in Place is another nonprofit, and they are working on Focus on Energy for their Greening Congregations grant, which is kind of like the IRA grants that we've talking about now for churches. And so I would actually have them start there rather than on the home side, even if, there's a pastor who has a residence there or a faith leader who has a residence there. I would have them look at that opportunity because I know a number of churches are doing some of those upgrades where they do have residences on site. But Brady, I'd lead to you for more than that.
Yeah, these federal rebates are only for homes and residential buildings. But Focus on Energy, the state program, we offer rebates for businesses and nonprofits as well. So like faith places. And so we have a pilot going on right now that is called Greening Congregations.
Awesome. Thank you for that. All right. And another next question, if we got an assessment and some improvements done about 8 to 9 years ago, including having some insulation blown in, is it possible to do it again if we know there are more improvements that could be made, for instance, basement insulation?
Evan, I think that you got the most experience.
Sure, I'll take this one. Yes. So just because you've had an energy assessment before doesn't mean that you can't benefit from another one now. There's been a lot of improvements in technology and materials and strategies for best improving your house. The part of the reason you hear me talk about basement insulation so much is it's been the thing that we have found Milwaukee homes lack the most. I mean, the low-income weatherization program has been around for 40 plus years. They've insulated a lot of attics and walls, but they never touched basement walls. And so we have found a lot of houses, attics great, windows aren't terrible, furnace isn't that old, walls already done, basement's cold as heck. So yes, you can definitely get an energy assessment even if you've already had work done. Generally, if you've already had like an attic insulation already done, it's probably not going to degrade that much unless you've had a house fire or hole in your roof or something like that. But in general, yes, that we can find the thing that your house can do. A house with high bills can save 20%. A house with low bills can save 20%. There are ways that we can figure out how to best achieve that. And if you don't mind, I want to quickly go back to the last question too, because I was raising my hand, but I should have spoken up. To riff off that, it was a really great question of where you live, does it count as a house? And sometimes that's not up to you. And I don't necessarily mean, is it a house? More like, is it a single family or a duplex? There are a lot of houses in Milwaukee that are duplexes, even though the homeowner doesn't treat it as such. And we want to quickly highlight that if you live in a duplex, or if the city considers your house a duplex under city records, it is treated as a duplex. And the process is a little bit different. It's a little bit slower, but the pro is you are eligible for twice as much rebate because the amount of funds are multiplied by the number of units in the property. So we are slowly trying to get through like 100+ duplexes that have contacted us over the last year. We'll try to help yours, but again, we'll probably need both units built. So sorry, I just wanted to reference that part.
No, that's super helpful, and I think it touches on some of the some follow-up questions that we've had, including Marlon. I know you mentioned con or asked condos fall in the apartment category. So I don't know, Kevin, if you want to speak a little bit more about what
I do.
qualifies as, yeah, multifamily units and how that works.
The one exception to that is if you have like a true townhouse, like side by side thing where you have no common space at all. I'm talking like, like those San Francisco style homes, or like Parkside has houses kind of like that, where it's truly your neighbor on the other side of the wall, but you don't share a basement, you don't share an entryway. That is the exception to kind of a multifamily thing. That if it's multifamily, we can do one condo unit. I can do one apartment in a building. Truthfully, we never have. We haven't been able to get that to succeed. So it's doable. We have so many other big buildings that want to go first.
All right, thank you. And so, kind of in a similar vein, this wasn't explicitly asked, but I think something we've not touched on is we're talking a lot about single family homes. You may automatically assume that means owner occupied, but can we say a little more about how renters may be able to take advantage of this?
Well, maybe I'll start, and you can skin ahead if I miss anything. But obviously, it is a little tricky because a lot of this work will require your property owner or landlord or property management to agree to this. I think the easiest example is like the induction stove, for example, seems easier, but your landlord's going to probably have to upgrade the electrical and switch out that outlet for that. And so that's, they're probably not going to do that for just one unit. So what I'd recommend is you let your landlord know about these rebates, let them know that they can get thousands of dollars to improve the building, and let them know that you're willing to qualify and that you would qualify them. That's a huge barrier on their end, is helping make sure half of their tenants in the building qualify for that, and then each unit, they can unlock thousands and thousands of dollars from that. But tenants have to be willing to, like Kevin, you were saying, some energy bills and income qualify first. If the building has, maybe like tax credits or is it designated as affordable housing already, some of the income qualification can be easier. But I think you raising your hand and letting your landlord know, hey, I'm interested in this and I'm willing to help you with this on at least my end. I could talk to my neighbors and say, hey, this is legit. This isn't our landlord being like scary and wanting our income documents, things like that. The landlord will never see incomes. It goes to our program. So I know it's a lot of work on you as a tenant. I'm a renter. And so I get it, but that's probably the best path forward. And we're doing outreach, especially to try to reach multifamily property owners as well. But, you can be the belly and the beast, so to speak.
Thanks,
And
Brady.
some people think that this is not like realistic, like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to get my tenants to agree, or I'm not gonna be able to get my landlord to agree. There's actually a requirement that landlords have to sign saying like, hey, I'm not going to evict my tenant to get a higher paying tenant just because we're doing this. Otherwise, I got to give the money back. And at the same time, that can be kind of a safety switch for both tenants and landlords in many cases. And so we can try to help people through it, but I think Focus on Energy really thought about it all, and I got to commend them for that.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. All right. I think we talked about this question a little bit earlier, but I just want to, I'm just going to read it again just in case it was missed. So when asking about income from your taxes, are you looking for gross income?
I want to caveat that I'm not an income qualifier, so I'm not super well versed on this. But what I shared from we have a checklist. It kind of helps walk you through and I really recommend it because it's going to make your income qualification go so much faster if you get your documents ready in advance. What I found is it looks like gross income that you can find on your taxes, and it lets you know what lines those are. But there's also on that list like a ton of other ways to income qualify that I think is really helpful. And we've been actually just heard anecdotally yesterday in a team meeting people who look at this checklist first are like, wow, it's so quick. And people who don't are like, took me a bit because I was halfway through the application and I had to run around and get this form or this proof. So recommend taking a look at that resource. Maybe I should have thought of that as one of the top resources as well, but hope that answers that question.
Thanks, Brady. All right, and I've got a very specific technical question here from Mike. I think this could be helpful to other folks as well. Do you remove old insulation versus stack on what is there? And is it worth the expense to have spray foam applied first, then cellulose blown in on top of it versus just using the blown in insulation? Um, I don't know, Kevin, if you want to take that one and maybe give a little bit of background on different types of insulation.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. Okay. So there's a variety of insulation types out there. Some of the more common that you'll be familiar with is fiberglass. I promise you, it's not as itchy as it used to be. The new stuff, it's quite good. We actually prefer to use it. Fiberglass is very common. The fluffy stuff in the attic. Sometimes you might see what looks like kind of ground up newspaper called cellulose. Kind of gray. It's a little dusty. It's very commonly used in walls and often attics too. So that's usually the powdery stuff that's blown in with a machine. Fiberglass bats are still, those rolls are still very common. They're kind of going away, but they're sort of the workhorse that won't ever seem to go away because they're cheap and pretty easy to put up. Spray foam is far more common, or is far more interesting to some, but it's also extremely expensive. Two chemicals spray together and they kind of expand and fill a cavity. It's the only truly airtight insulation. Possible exception is rigid boards that are sealed at the edges. But spray foam kind of looks like shaving cream when you apply it. You have to be careful where you put it because it can be quite flammable. And when it burns, it can release noxious chemicals. So there's actually fire safety rules about where you're allowed to use it without having to cover it with something like drywall. I would say that most of the time, as far as adding or removing, I really only want to remove it if it's full of mice or damaged or fire damaged or wet, because otherwise, from a reduce, reuse, recycle standpoint, you might as well put more on top of what's there now, unless there's a particular reason why you shouldn't, because it still works. If your one sweater that you're wearing is kind of falling apart, you can put another sweater on top of it and it'll still work.
Awesome. Thanks, Kevin. Mike, I hope that answers your question. So at this point, I don't have any additional questions. And I'm,
Mia, one that I think is
yeah,
important that you might have missed is
great.
just that I saw somebody wanted to know if they're over the income limits, is the cost of an energy assessment $625?
Ooh, I did miss
Um,
that one. Thank you.
yeah, and it will vary. I think that's Kevin, the price that you listed. Um, but generally it'll be 500 or more. I do think with inflation, I think it used to be $500 pretty standard, and I do think it's kind of increased a little bit with high demand. But I know that seems like a lot, but I mean, Kevin can maybe sell you on it even more than I can. But my point, just as an agnostic, I work for the program as a nonprofit. It's just, for you as a homeowner, you get this roadmap for your home, customized to your home, and then focus on energy. We can offer you $200 if you don't have an energy assessment. We can offer you over 1,000, maybe 2,000, up to like 2,600 if you do have an energy assessment. Like Kevin said, it keeps you honest. It makes sure we know, with our dollars, we're buying energy savings in your home. And then the IRA also requires it. So 625, it might be a lot upfront, but then the thousands that it unlocks is you'll never think about it. And you might even save that much in a year or two after you insulate. So, and you learn about your home.
Awesome. Thank you so much. If Do any of our presenters think there are other questions that we may have missed that you would like to add?
Yeah. I have a quick one. I saw some questions about like if your landlord doesn't want to work with you, or maybe I'm a renter in a duplex right now. If the upstairs neighbor doesn't want to work with you, just some things that I found helped. Is I find it's really helpful to just tell them what the paperwork is. You can submit your paperwork and get pre-approved before you even do the energy assessment. Because I think that's one of the hesitancies of why would I fill out this paperwork? I'm not going to qualify. So there you can have them submit the paperwork or show that chart, that income verification chart that I use with folks that and explains with them what it does. I also think I think it helps when you approach their landlord. I found if you are in a duplex or if there's more than one adult living in your home, if you get everybody on board first before going to your landlord, it's a lot harder to say no when both of your tenants are excited and willing to go through this process than if it's just one and then you need to convince the other. So I found just, approaching it that way together helps. We don't get everybody, which is unfortunate, but we've gotten a number of folks who originally weren't interested, and connecting it to stories of people in the neighborhood who have gotten money for the IRA grants and what they did with it, I think also helps.
Fantastic. Thanks, Kat. Okay, and that did seem to unlock some additional questions. So, um, if we believe we are over income slightly, how do we proceed?
I feel like that really depends because are you over low income or are you over moderate? I feel like if you're over low, you won't get 100% of project costs, but you'll get a lot, maybe half or just under that. And what I always like to say is these are always smart energy decisions, no matter what. You're pocketing the energy savings, it's money not spent on energy. So I think these were, even without incentives, these are great projects for you to do for your home. You might not get as much. So I still recommend you income qualify to go through the process, to just see like I said, maximize the dollars you can get for these projects. But I'm guessing we can offer something for you. Like I said, focus on energy and even the homes program, we can offer you something no matter what income you are.
Great. Thank you for clarifying that, Brady. All right, Kevin, we got another good one for you. So what's the current recommended R value that will gain the most savings on heat loss?
Well, that kind of depends on where. So R value is just the number that every material has, be it a piece of wood or fiberglass or spray foam or glass. It just says, how insulating is this thing? For context, a single pane window is about R1. About 8 inches of concrete is just about R1. So that's why basements are truly a hard place or important place to insulate. For attics, you might want to go above R38, which is about 12 inches of cellulose or fiberglass. Or R49 is a more superior level, which is again about 16 inches of insulation. You can't really fit 16 inches of insulation though in most people's existing walls. And so in your walls, you might aim for about 13 is when somebody drills holes in your wall and packs the wall full of cellulose insulation. It's usually about R13, give or take. In basements, we're aiming for around R10, just because that's going to be about 1.5 to 2 inches of rigid insulation board sticking out. We're not trying to take lots and lots of space out of your basement. We want to have the biggest impact. The thing is like there's a diminishing return. Once you have 4 sweaters on, the 5th sweater is not going to help as much as when you put on your first sweater when it's cold out. So adding some to where there's none will have way more impact to adding more to where there's already some. That's just the lesson that I'm going to leave for all this area. Add where none exists. That's the biggest energy savings things you can do.
Kevin, the only thing I think I might add is I agree. I mean, I think balance your pocketbook, what you're willing to spend with it. And while there might be a cost, like payback, diminishing returns, I do think about resiliency sometimes too. I mean, on the coldest days, if your electricity went out, your furnace would also not work, right? Because the fan turns off. And if you are more insulated, you'll lose less heat. There's still some diminishing returns, so I don't want to minimize that, but there's a price to pay for resilience too, and maybe that's worth it to you. I think the energy assessment will kind of tell you what the paybacks are and is it worth it to you?
I 100% agree. But to give one example, like some people do attic insulation, what's known as R49, again, that's 16 inches. It might cost them an extra $500 to go to that really superior level of R60, 20 inches. And it might save them 15 or $20 more a year. It might take them a long time to recoup that money, but maybe that's not the point. The point is to make the home more comfortable, more valuable, all sorts of other things. So I 100% agree. It's not just about monthly energy bill savings.
Hey, Kevin, that's a sandwich. Oh, sandwich a month.
I have one thing I forgot to add. Sorry, Mia.
No, go
One
ahead.
argument that I have used successfully with landlords or co-tenants who might not want to weatherize is talking about how it could save them money. I was talking to a landlord who just recently had the pipes freeze when it was really cold a few weeks ago, and that house was mostly uninsulated, and it cost them thousands of dollars to replace the pipes, whereas insulating the home could have prevented that. So if you are a renter and you want to talk to your landlord about this, I always lead with how it'll save them money. So we'll do a checkup and make sure nothing is going wrong. My best friend had an energy assessment done, and we found a mouse hole in his house to the outside where critters were coming in and out. And we plugged that mouse hole, and there's no more mice. So like that's an example of something besides saving your money that you want to know about in your house. And then on the landlord side, like again, it can help troubleshoot problems. It can help, prevent pipes from freezing. There are so many benefits that can come from having an energy assessment done and utilizing these funds to better insulate and weatherize your home.
Yeah, what you said maybe will lead me to my segue of what I might add is that there's a cost to inaction, right? That you were just talking about. Yeah, so especially if you're moderate income, there's going to be a cost to some of these projects, but you're paying for it, right? You're either going to pay for the project and you're going to pay for your bills. um, and like we said, inflation with bills going up, equipment sometimes goes up with tariffs and things like that. You don't know, right? I feel like this year, I've talked to a lot of other states, they don't have as much funding as Wisconsin does. And I just feel like this is a good year, even though federal tax credits went away in Wisconsin to save energy through, whether it is solar or our rebates that we're talking about tonight. A lot of resources on the table, more than other states for projects that I just wouldn't delay necessarily because we always say the best time to save energy was yesterday. The next best is today. And the worst time is delaying.
Thank you so much. That reminds me, I think another thing we may not have touched on as it relates to renters yet is how are tenants protected if a property manager does decide to go through the home energy rebate program?
Evan, I feel like you've actually read the guidance probably more recently than I have, back to back. But I think that there's a clause, is it 3 years that they
Years.
can't yeah, 3 years that they cannot raise rents more than inflation, I think. So they can raise it, but it's not because of the upgrades for sure, is one of the protection clauses.
Yeah, and it protects them from just being kicked out willy-nilly. So, like, if somebody's been a problem, you might still get kicked out. But it's 3 years of protection, so they can't just boot you. They can't take all this great government money, make the house amazing, and then, kick you out and list it for a new price. So it's meant to protect the community, which I think is amazing. And I'm a renter, it makes me feel a lot better. I think that is one thing that gives landlords a little bit of a pause. But once they learn more about it and learn that you can with inflation and, you can do other things, related to it, after you have that conversation with them, a lot more landlords are more on board.
Another thing, landlords usually pay heat, so these programs lower their heating costs. So it allows them to kind of absorb that a little bit better.
One more thing on the appliance side, you can get upgraded appliances. And so in a lot of apartments or homes come with those appliances. And, a lot of them are getting old. And so talking about how if you get the homes program, then you can go ahead and use the here and get up some upgraded appliances that you're likely going to do anyway. So really partnering all the things you can do, and some of them benefit the landlord.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Well, I am not seeing any other questions in the chat at this point. And do our presenters have any other things they'd like to say before I start to wrap things up?
Yeah, just if you're interested in housing, healthcare, or climate work outside of these lovely grants that we're talking about, please connect with me. We have a volunteer-led team that is going out into our communities in Milwaukee and talking about these resources. So we are looking for folks who are interested in sharing the good news about these grants and other programs for our homeowners to get the dollars out the door and make sure we reach everyone. So I put my email in there as well as our office phone number. So go ahead and give a call if any of these areas interest you, and I'd love to chat.
Mia, I'm going to highlight something on your slide. Help spread the word. Don't be the gatekeeper of knowledge. Share this.
Thank you. I was going to shout that out too. Any last things you'd like to share, Kevin?
No, we've covered a lot of ground today. We're happy to help people. And thanks everyone for being here. Thanks for putting this on.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much to our presenters. Thank you so much to our participants. We're really happy and excited for this to be the first webinar that our office is putting on in partnership with these lovely organizations, and we're hoping to do more. To that end, I want to just say again that this webinar was specific to single-family homes, but we will be conducting a multifamily property webinar in the near future, hopefully towards the end of March. And we're anticipating some bilingual webinars or in-person opportunities to engage with residents around Milwaukee about these programs later on in the spring as well. But you will get a copy of this recording, and I highly encourage you to please share it with anyone that you know who you think would be interested. We want to spread the funds are available and theoretically available for a long time, but the sooner that we can take advantage of them, the better, not just to ensure that those funds stay here in Wisconsin, but also to make sure that we're upgrading these homes as quickly as possible. Everybody deserves to be saving money on their bills, to have a safe, comfortable, healthy home environment, and this is a really incredible way that you can take advantage of that. So please, I encourage you to do it, and I encourage your friends, family, neighbors, coworkers, etc., to do the same. I just want to shout out again, I'm just going to put a couple of the links to the most important resources that we mentioned here tonight back in the chat. And
I have one more thing to add that I forgot
go
in my
ahead.
asks. Yeah,
Yes.
so Citizen Action and other groups are doing outreach. So if you're a part of a community organization, a church, some other house of worship, and you'd like this presentation done, I am happy to come out and spread the word about these resources.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kat. And yes, I think there's definitely opportunity to partner with Citizen Action, the Eco Office as well, to do more community engagement around these programs and make sure that people understand what's available to them, and especially get our community partners more comfortable talking about it themselves. So feel free to reach out to Kat. Welcome to reach out to me as well. Um, and yeah, with that, I want to just say a big thank you again to everyone, especially our presenters. And Deanna, thank you so much for your behind the scenes efforts. You all have a lovely evening, and we hope to hear from you soon.